Hello, hello, hello. Good evening. Um, Hello, everybody out there in Facebook and YouTube world and Paranormal Brews, Brewskis, and all those, and Steve Barry fans and Paranormal Brew fans. Hi. Thank you for joining me on a special Tuesday. I know it's not my normal night, but I really wanted to have Steve on, and Steve has other obligations on Wednesday nights, so we had to pick a different night, which was tonight. So, Steve Barry, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Not only is Steve one of my dearest, nearest friends, whom I love very, very much, he's a very busy man, so I appreciate your time. We're getting ready for the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash that Steve and Pam run, and he also runs a store with his beautiful wife Pam called the Historic Haunts of Waynesboro. It's a brick and mortar shop with all your paranormal needs, and including Reiki and all that good fun stuff in Waynesboro. And then they also run the Hoover House in Waynesboro, Pennsylvania. So welcome, my love.
Hello.
Let's see, not a normal night or a normal guest.
That's that. Good old John. He comes right in there. Thanks, buddy.
Oh, there's Pammy. So more importantly, tonight I brought you on for a totally different reason. I had you and Pam on previously. There's Chris, my love. And we were talking about the bash, but this is a little different tonight. I asked around and I found out that Steve here, one of my very good friends, has had a near-death experience. When I say near-death, it wasn't just like, my heart stopped and I woke up, because upon researching to look for guests for this, a lot of people were told they died, but they never had a journey, if you will, while they were dead. And I hope you don't mind me explaining it that way, but
Yeah.
Steve had experiences while he was clinically dead. And I'm going to shut up because I want you to tell your story. I would say start from that day, you know what I mean?
I'll start before that day.
Okay.
Yeah, it started back in October 2014. I noticed veins started popping in my legs, one by one, which was really weird. So I went to, at the time I was living in Poconos. So I went to a hospital in Port Jervis, and they looked at my legs and they said, "Oh, you got restless leg syndrome." And okay, so went home. They gave me medicine for it, went home. And throughout time, I kept going back to the hospital because more veins would pop out in my legs, and they would say, nope, it's varicose veins. So one day it's varicose veins, next day it's restless leg syndrome, and I didn't know what it was. So they would just do EKG on me, send me home, your heart's fine, blah blah. So they sent me for a stress test finally, and I run the treadmill. And that was in Sparta, New Jersey at the time. I run the treadmill. I get off the treadmill. When you get off the treadmill, they lay you down and they do an ultrasound around your heart. And they said, I said, how's everything? They go, well, you failed to stress the treadmill part, but the ultrasound, your heart looks really good. I said, oh, okay. I said, so what do I do? He goes, just go home, take a baby aspirin every day. You'll be fine. I said, what about my legs? He goes, well, I think that's varicose veins. I'm like, okay. So I go home. And then I was doing a couple of investigations with the show and stuff like that. And then I turned around and ran into Greg O'Brien. And I actually said to Greg O'Brien, I said, Greg, look at my legs. Is this normal? He goes, dude, no, that ain't normal. Your legs, usually your legs shouldn't look like that at your age. He goes, that ain't normal. So it was about a couple of days later. I was home and I was talking to Pam. And this was March 31st, 2015. So it was the day before April Fool's. So my daughter was living with me at the time, and we were looking up at the, and Pam was living down in Gettysburg, and we were looking to purchase a house down here, and I was going to move down to Gettysburg. So I'm talking to her on the phone, and I said, I ran around the house just for the full of it to chase the dog around the house. And I noticed when I ran, all the veins would disappear. I said, Pam, this is weird. I said, when I run, watch, and I was FaceTime. I said, when I run, look at my legs, all the veins are gone. And she goes, you better, call your cardiologist back and tell him this is what's happening. That is weird because varicose veins, they just don't go away.
Right.
So I'm talking to her on the phone. My daughter says, Dad, you got to get off the phone. We got to eat dinner. She's playing boss. I'm like, okay. So I said, Pam, I'll call you back after dinner. So she made chicken. I'll never forget. It was chicken, mashed potatoes, and peas and all that stuff. And I started to eat the mashed potatoes, and I just got nauseous all of a sudden when I was eating them. Like I just couldn't swallow. So I got up, and I went in my room, and she goes, what's wrong? I said, I just don't feel right. I said, she goes, oh, you're mocking out my cooking, are you? I said, no. I said, I just don't feel right. So I went in my room. I put my blood pressure cuff on, and it read 128/72. That's a good blood pressure, right?
Right.
So I walked back out, and as I was walking out, I had full bottle of aspirin on my dresser, not baby aspirin, full aspirin. And something just stopped me. He said, Steve, take 2 aspirin now. Take 2 aspirin now. So I took 2 aspirin. I sat back down at the kitchen table. Now my daughter's gone. She went to her room. So I'm eating, and I go to eat, and I'm like, I can't eat. And all of a sudden, I felt like, you ever go down in a pool and you go too deep and your ears hurt?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I got this pressure in my ears all of a sudden that hurt so bad. I was actually pulling my earlobe. So I was trying to make my ears pop. And I just felt really nauseous. So I went into the back room and I knocked on my daughter's door and I said, she opens the door and she goes, oh my God, Dad, you're turning gray. She goes, you okay? I said, no, that's why I don't feel good. I said, I got this pressure in my ears. So she calls Pam, and Pam said, get off the phone with me and call 911 right now. So she called 911, and needless to say, on that day, there was a blizzard in the Poconos. We had about 7 inches of snow already on my deck outside. Our roads, I lived down this dirt road, so our road wasn't even plowed. And we lived in this gully. It was like a real deep gully, so cell signal was really, really nasty there. So my daughter calls 911. And she goes, and they go 911. She goes, my dad's having a heart attack, and the phone cuts off. And she loses the signal. So now she's panicking. She's trying to dial and won't go through. So we're sitting there, and all of a sudden I got this. It felt like someone took a blowtorch. The pressure from the ears went away, but then it also got this pain right here in the chest, like someone's taking a big lighter, but times it by 1,000 to your chest. Mm-hmm. And was just burning like that. And then all of a sudden it just let up. And my daughter goes, oh my God, you're turning blue. And now she's freaking me out even more. She's panicking. I'm panicking. She's trying to dial 911. It's not going through. About 15 minutes went by, and her husband, who's her husband, that was her boyfriend at the time, he was at the house too, and he goes, listen, I'm gonna take you in the car right now. He goes, we gotta get you somewhere. They're not coming. We can't get a hold of them. And with that, after he said that, we heard the ambulance sirens coming. And what they did is they
Oh,
pinged
they
her
changed
phone.
it. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, they pinged her phone, and they found where we were at. When they got into the house, they put all these um, leads on me and everything else, and they go, "Can you get up?" And I said, "Yeah, I feel like I can get up." He goes, "Because we're just gonna. There's so much snow outside. If we can get you to the ambulance, and you can walk out there. That'd be better." So I got up, and then he goes, "Sit down, sit down." I sat back down. I'm like, "What's going on now?" He goes, "Get the gurney in here. Get the gurney in." They got me in the gurney, and they cut me all hooked up. They got me in the ambulance, and my daughter says, "Where are you taking him to Bon Secours Hospital in Port Jervis?" They go, "No, he's got to go to Scranton. They can't save him." And she goes, "What do you mean?" He goes, "He had a massive heart attack." He goes, "He's got to go to Scranton." So now I'm thinking, oh my God, it's 55 minutes from my house to Scranton. So I'm in the back of the ambulance, and we pull out the dirt road, and we turn on Route 6, and we're heading out to Route 84. And as soon as we get out on Route 6, the paramedic goes, "Steve, I need you to do something. Lift your tongue up."
How did they know? How did they know you had a massive heart attack?
They
Because
showed right on the EKG.
oh, on the
Yeah,
EKG.
yeah,
Okay.
I'm all hooked up already. So he shoots you with nitro, I believe, because it was a spray. And next thing you know, as soon as he sprayed me with that, I felt this weird feeling. You ever sit down? You sit down, and you stand up really fast, and you feel like you're going to pass out.
Yeah.
You get that head rush, comes up the
Yeah.
back of your head. Well, imagine laying down and having that same head rush come up, and then as soon as it gets to your eyes, you black out. And that's exactly what happened. I got this feeling after he sprayed me, and I blacked out. So I'm sitting, all of a sudden I wake up. Well, when I blacked out, actually, what I saw at that time was, you ever have well, the best thing is like a photograph book like this they used to put pictures in?
Yeah.
All right. You go at home, you go, "Oh, there's all these pictures in here." All right, that's what I saw. And what I was seeing as far back as I can remember, I would say about 7 years old, of pictures of me at 7, 8, 9, and then cars I had, things I did back as a teenager. Memories were just coming up, and then it started going faster and faster and faster and faster. And I woke up in the ambulance, and I was flipping. They were holding me down. Two paramedics were holding me down, and I was flipping like a fish, because they had just shocked me. He goes, "Steve, we just brought you back." And I look out, and I see we're leaving Route 6, and we're getting on 84. I am still by my house, and I have a 55-minute ride in a blizzard. And I'm like, I'm just saying to myself, I'm not going to make it. There's no way I'm making this. I just died. I'm not going to make this. And I died again halfway to the hospital in Scranton. And then I died just before the ER. On the way down the highway, I'll never forget it. They're calling for life flight, and they go, "We can't fly in a blizzard. You have to get him here." And next thing I look out the back, and I see we had two ambulances and one of those Suburbans. The Suburban, they use those big Suburbans. Well, they pulled over one time to get something out of the Suburban. I think that was a shot they probably gave me right into the heart, because I did later on feel something like I was stabbed here. So I think they probably jammed something right in my heart to keep me alive. Got me to the ER, and I'll never forget, I get into the ER, and I'll never forget the doctor's name. He goes, "I'm Dr. Greenspan." And I looked at him, I said, "Whatever you do, don't let me die." And he says to me right out, he goes, "Whatever," he goes, "you're not going to die on my watch, I promise you." What happened? I died right in front of him. Boom. That's it. Yeah.
That was the last thing.
I'm on a podcast here. So,
So that was the last thing that was said.
No. They shocked me there. Brought me back. I was being shocked every 10 seconds. I come back to life. My heart would beat for like 10 seconds. I come out of this, I call it like a coma. And I could see everyone around me. I remember a nurse come up to me. She's cut my shirt off. And she goes, "Steve, I got a catheter. There's nothing I can do." And I'm like, "Oh." And then I died right in front of her on that. And then I remember getting out in the hallway, and then the priest was out there, and he's reading me my last rites. before I went up to the cath lab, and it's hard.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, take your time.
So I got up to the cath lab, and when I got in the cath lab, that's nothing. I don't remember anything up there because I wasn't here no more. I was when I got up into what I would say purgatory, I guess. It was all gray. It's a gray area around. There's no trees, there's no buildings, there's nothing. You just see for miles in any direction. You have no sense of direction. You have no. You look down, it's gray. There's no clouds. There's nothing. It's just empty gray space. But the weird thing was this feeling of love that you would never ever describe, of and warmth, that this is where you belong, is what was so awesome. I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that feeling. And I knew who I was. And the weird thing was, while I'm in this area, I looked down and I had my watch on, but here was all missing. The band was there. This was here, but the face, the arms, there was nothing there. It was skin.
All right. So what's the last thing you remember is they were cutting your shirt.
They were cutting my shirt, and then last thing I remember is my rights being read to me.
So you're
my
right.
daughters were right there next to my side, listening to what he was saying. And they told them, which I found out afterwards, that he's not going to make it.
So they're reading the rights, and
They
then
were
all of a
preparing
sudden,
him.
you were, so this whole time there's nothing around you. It was just space.
No, that happened once. No, when I had my rights read to me, they wheeled me towards the cath lab.
And
I must have passed out one last time. Must have died then, and then I just never recovered from that.
Okay.
And then I don't remember nothing. I don't remember getting in the elevator. I don't remember going up to the cath lab, getting in the cath lab. I don't remember any of that. I wasn't here no more.
Right.
I was in the gray area, which I call like up in heaven, is where I was.
Okay. Right. So your watch didn't have any hand.
I had a watch on, but that time the arms on it, all that was missing. That was all skin. My shirt that I know they cut off me was back on me.
Huh.
Which is really weird. I was wearing it was back on me. I went to walk, and when I walked, you ever skim a stone? It makes those ripples, those circles, and so when you skim a stone, it keeps making those circles. So when I touched my foot down, it would make these rings, and they would go out. And as soon as I put my foot back down onto the whatever surface it felt like, which was like a watery surface, it would just suck right back to my foot, like boom, the rings would go right to my foot like that, and they'd be gone. And then when I lifted my foot back up, they'd ring out again. It was really weird. So I'm like, what do I do here? So I just figured I start walking. So I started to walk, and then these little figures came past me, and I would say they're children because they were really small, and they were giggling, and it's just like, it's a weird voice. It's when they talk to you, it sounds like you and I, a female and a male, talking the same word at the exact same time. It's the best way to describe it. So it's like a mixture of our voices. It's really weird.
Saying the same exact thing at the same exact time.
Right, exactly. And they're running past me, and I said, come to me. And they said, we can't talk to you. We're not allowed. And they giggle. So I found another thing. You can't touch nothing up there. I went to grab one of them, and they're like, boom, they're gone. Like you can't catch them. There's no way. There's no way. So up there, when you're there though, and you're in that space, none of this ever happened. Your whole life is erased. I don't remember Pam. I don't remember my kids. I don't remember my dog. I don't remember nothing. None of that has come to my head. Earth, the world, is not existent. It was never happened.
Right.
It's like a brand new beginning. Like you don't know where you're going, what you're doing, but you feel like you belong there. Then when I was walking, I felt, and this is why I warn everyone out, you're being judged. There's a point where you're going to come to where something's watching you and you're being judged right now. And that's where I think that's the area I was at. I was at the area of showing my life through the photographs, and now I'm being judged.
Oh,
So, what was this guy? How was he? How do you treat people? Is what I felt. What did I help people? Did I do this? Did I do that? You just all these thoughts come to your head, and then they dissipate. And I started walking, and I said, well, I ain't running into anything this way. So again, you got to remember, you have no sense of direction. So I just said, all right, I'm walking this way. I'm going to turn a quarter and start walking that way. And then I started walking that way, and I came to this area which started to light up, and it was all angel wings all around me, all different sizes floating all around. There's no body to the angel. It's just wings, sets of wings, all different sizes, thousands all around me, all around me. Can't touch them. Remember, you go to touch something, it's gone. So you can't touch them. But they're floating all around you. And I'm just amazed at it. Now, everyone says they see this bright light come at you. No, I didn't run into any bright light. I ran into a dull, calming white light that was a very dim light, but it was so calming. And like I said, the feeling of love is amazing. Like it's everyone says explain it. You can't explain it.
right.
Then all of a sudden, I had a figure come at me. It was like it's like taking your eye socket and turning it long way. So it was like oval like this, and it was in the distance, and it came at me real slow, and then it opened up. And when it opened up, there's a brighter light in there, not a big bright light again. It was just a little bit brighter than what was there, and there was this dark figure standing there. And to me, it looked like a man. It was like a silhouette of a man, but he was tall. And it said to me, it says, I come to you because you believe in me. You're a part of me, my kingdom. Let them know I'm with each and every one of you. My love never dies. Now go.
So the figure came to you and said this?
Exactly what it said to me. And
say that again.
It says, I come to you because you believe in me. You're a part of me, my kingdom. Let them know I'm with each and every one of you. My love never dies. Now go. That's exactly what he said to me. And I'm like, go where? I'm saying to myself. So the only thing I can think of is turn away from this figure and walk away. So that's what I did. And when I walked away, I didn't feel myself go back in my body or nothing. I'm in the cath lab, and I see a pink mask to my left eye and a blue mask to my right eye. And I'm sitting there, and I go, hey, guys, like trying to talk to them. And they're going, and I can hear them, but they can't hear me. And they're going, Steve, if you can hear me, give us a sign. And next thing you know, I'm back up in that gray area again. Wow. And I'm looking around. I'm going, oh, wow, I guess this is it. Now I'm saying to myself, that part I did remember going from there back up, because then it hit me like, well, you're back in this area. So then I hear a voice say, I told you to go. And it was very stern. And next thing you know, I'm back in my body again. Now I hear the doctor saying, Steve, you can give us a sign. So all I could think of is raise my thumbs up like this, arm, and I hear everyone clapping. Next thing I know, I wake up, I'm in ICU. Now, when I'm in ICU, I still don't know how they did it, how they all got in there, but the whole paranormal after party team was in there. They were filming me waking up, and they were clapping, saying, "You made it, you made it." Now, when I woke up, I had all these tubes down. I had 3 tubes in my body, and machines breathing for me and all this stuff. And hold on a minute. Pam just got a guest here, so she's talking a little loud.
You know what? I love your daughter so much. I don't know if I've met her.
I'll tell you what, if my daughter wasn't there, I wouldn't be here. That's the one, Felicia, Peppy that's on there right now. That's my daughter. She actually saved my life. So if it wasn't for her,
I just love her. She
wasn't with me that day, I wouldn't be here because I had no one to call. I could when you're burning and your chest is on fire, you can't pick up a phone. your
Yeah.
body locks up, your hands lock up, you get paralyzed sort of, and you
Yeah.
can't dial nothing until that releases. So, it was, her and Ray actually saved my life on that. But so I get back and I give the two thumbs up, and then I wake up in the ICU, and there's all these people around me. Um, and then Pam comes walking in. Now Pam had drove 3.5 hours up from Gettysburg in a PT Cruiser in that blizzard, and had no clue when she got there if I was alive.
Right.
She had no clue. And she walked into ICU and saw me and just started bawling her eyes out. And Pam also has a problem hitting buttons. She hit one of my buttons and made all the alarms go off in my ICU room. And Flip went over there and he straightened whatever he had to do, hit the button off and correct it. But they ended up filming me in there, and then they kicked the crew out. They told them they couldn't be in that room; they had to leave. And I thought I was in that room for maybe a day, and I thought I woke up the next morning. I was. They actually put me like in a coma for a couple of days, and I woke up in my regular room. And my friend Anthony was in the room with me, and had said to me, "Dude, you made it. You're here." And I look over at my nightstand. There's a card on my nightstand in my regular room, and I pick it up and I read it, and it says, "Steve, you were asleep. I didn't want to wake you. This is Dr. Greenspan. I told you you would not go on my watch."
Oh, that's so awesome.
What ER doctor ever does that? Would ever come all the way up? I was on the 6th floor, come to see me in that. So Anthony and I are in the room, and we're just sitting there, and he's talking to us, "Dude, what happened to you?" And I started telling him what happened.
So you remembered right away. You remembered everything that happens. Like,
Well, yeah, when I woke up in ICU, actually, and saw I couldn't talk because you have tubes in you and the machinery, it's so hard. And they're trying, you're trying to laugh because they're making you laugh, and you're already drugged up. So you're like, you're out of it. You're totally out. I wanted to write to my daughter when I woke up, and she asked the nurse for a pen and paper, and the nurse goes, "He's too drugged up. He can't even write." She goes, "If my dad can tell me he can write, he can write." So the nurse left the room, and she went over and grabbed a pen and paper, and I wrote it, and she should have it to this day. I wrote angels on it. And she goes, "You saw angels?" And I said, "Yeah." And what I wanted to do was write that message down that was given to me when I was up there, so I wouldn't forget it. And I can't forget it. It's locked in my head. They locked it in my head. I won't never forget it.
she's going to make me cry.
Yeah, so I've been to a couple of pastors over here in churches and stuff, and they said, "You know what? Very rarely someone comes back with a message. You were given a message. You need to come to the church and give the message." And still to this day, I haven't gone to a church. I know that's bad of me. I haven't gone there.
Well, you're telling everybody on Paranormal Brew.
Well, I'm not. I don't feel I'm ready to get in front of a congregation and say that just yet, because I do get upset, and that's one thing that bothers me. And
Well, not only that, but
I relive it each time I talk about it.
and that, but you also have to like remember, like, people are so judgy nowadays, right? And like, you don't know how people are going to take it.
You know what? Honestly, when you pass away, you don't care what people think about you. Let me tell you that right now. That's why anyone who attacks me down the road, and I'm not going off track here because I know a lot of people are watching right now and want me to go off track. I'm not going off track. I will never go off track. That's one thing I learned. That's one thing God gave me, is to ignore the bad, enjoy the good, and that's what I'm doing. So I don't,
No, but I mean, like, if you were to stand in front of some type of a church, or, you know what I mean? Like, people, you never know how people are going to take it. You know what I mean? Like, some people, because people, like my grandmother was one. She believed that when you die, you go right to heaven. That's it. You know what I mean?
Now I'll tell you what, you don't go right there. You get judged. I can guarantee it. You're going to get judged before then they're going to figure out where you're going to go. That's what's going to happen, because that's what happened to me.
A church is is just a building. You're sharing this now with us, the church. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I have nothing against churches. Believe me, I don't. I was an acolyte for the Episcopal Church until I was 14 years old. Um, with the church. So I
You would
just
hope.
believe,
You would hope they would be accepting.
yeah, and that worried me too. After a while, I was like, when I came back, I said, heck, I got a second chance. I got a second chance at life, and I don't go to church. And I'm like, is that wrong that I don't go to church? And that's, but every day I'll see here. I talk to God every day through my head. I'll talk to him. I don't need to have a congregation or a priest or a pastor, whatever, tell me what I have to say to God. I'd rather talk to him directly. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think everyone can do that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong. It's just my way of doing things. It's my way of doing things. And you know what? If I was doing it wrong, I don't think I'd be here. In 2020, I almost passed away again. In 2020, it was Christmas Eve. I said to Pam, Pam, I can feel my heart stopping. She goes, what? I said, my heart is stopping. It's burp. I call it a burp. It would pause. And this is, the one that happened in 2015. This is 5 years later. I don't know what's going on. And my surgeon told me that if I were to have another attack, I would not know it because I had no symptoms really the first time. It just hit me. Boom. So where it was located was in the right lower artery is where I clogged. So Pam took me to the hospital. It was Gettysburg Hospital. I went to Gettysburg. They did an X-ray of my chest, of my heart, and wasn't inflamed. Sent me home. EKG sent me home. Went back on the 27th because it was getting worse. Sent me home. Went back on the 29th. And I said, Pam, this is getting really bad. And I told the doctors at the ER in Gettysburg, and they said, you're probably having anxiety. They kept saying, they said, no, everything's showing fine. Your blood work's showing fine. It was New Year's Eve. I said, I'm sorry, but I'm going to wreck your New Year's. If you don't get me to the hospital, I don't think I'll be here tomorrow. And I got to the hospital, and they got me in there, and the ER doctor saw the burp on the EKG this time. And he goes, you're staying. He goes, I'm going to put you on Coumadin, a real strong blood thinner, and there's nothing we can do about it right now. Do an exploratory surgery on you because it's New Year's Eve and all the doctors are gone. So we have to wait to the 2nd of January. But you'll be fine, I promise you. And sure enough, they put me on the blood thinner and I was fine. So needless to say, we have COVID now, okay? So I have to walk from the prep area to the cath lab myself, which wasn't far. It was like 3 doors down. And then I had to jump up on the table, and I'm up on the table, and then the doctor's there, and he goes, we're going to give you a little sedative, and there's a big screen in front of you. You can see your heart and all this stuff up there. And I said, well, what are we going to do? When are we going to start? He goes, look at the screen. He goes, I'm already in your heart. I never felt him go through my groin or nothing. That's how good this guy. Yeah, he was good. Yeah, so he's up there and he goes, watch the wire, and he goes down and he hits a bright thing in the X-ray, which I know, being an X-ray service technician back in the day, that's my stent that they put in. And he's going, look, think, you can't go through it. He goes, your stent is 100% clogged. He goes, you were right. You went one more day, you wouldn't have been here.
Wow.
So he busted through that.
Do you feel that ever since you had that experience that maybe you still have whoever that was? Some people in the comments are saying it was Jesus Christ. Some people are saying a guardian angel. The person that spoke to you, do you think that that's kind of instilled in you since you've had?
Me, that wasn't the guardian angel that spoke to me. That was Jesus, I believe, himself talking to me.
And
does anyone really know what Jesus looks like?
Right.
Honestly, we seen major pictures and stories
so
about it.
You said it was just like a figure. Correct?
I couldn't see a face. It was a dark shadow figure. It didn't go into the light. It didn't show me what it looked like. it just spoke to me, and that was it.
Right.
And it was very stern when I went back up, and it said, I told you to go, and you know, I guess your soul just knows what to do because
And you didn't feel like you weren't scared. You weren't you
no, I was never scared up there. I didn't want actually I didn't want to leave there. I didn't want to come back.
yeah,
I didn't because one, I didn't know where I was going. You got to remember, Earth didn't exist. When you're up there, you don't know where you're going. Go. That's why when he said go, I'm like, go where? Because
right.
this didn't exist. This life didn't come into my head at the time. Go where? Where do you want me to go? So the only thing to do is walk away. As soon as I walked away, I was back here on Earth in my body in a cath lab with two doctors looking at me. And here's the weirdest thing. We were in the cat. I got in my room and I read that card. And Anthony's like, dude, why is everyone peeking in our room constantly? And we'd look and there'd be people like peeking in on me all the time. And I go, what the heck's going on here? So all of a sudden these two surgeons come in. And he goes, hi, I'm Dr. Lowen. I'm the surgeon that worked on you. And he goes, boy, we really worked on you. He goes, you wouldn't believe we had a team working on you. And
How
we did
long were you? That was one of the questions somebody asked. Darren asked, "How long were you gone? Like, how long were you down?"
an hour and 10 minutes.
Wow, altogether, like collectively, from all
Yeah.
the times that
Yeah.
you were.
I was without oxygen, they said, for 7 minutes. 7 minutes they were trying to get oxygen in me. They couldn't, and they thought I had brain damage. That's why when I was in there, in recovery in the cath lab, and they were trying to talk to me, and they were saying, Steve, answer us. They thought I was, sort of like brain damage, or I was going to be brain dead eventually, because without the oxygen.
Well, and since then, like, has any of the other things you encountered while you were in that space, the kids, or has anything ever wound up making sense, or have you ever like dreamt about, like, what did you take from that? Anything, or
Well, I'm going to get there. It's watery figures. The way they look like, the best way to describe it, you had to watch the movie The Abyss. If you ever watched the movie The Abyss, the watery figure at the end of the movie is the best way to describe what they look like. I mean, they're not in human form. It's a watery substance, but it's an outline of a small child. No face, no nose, no ears, no fingers, no hands, just a watery outline. Is what it looks like.
wow,
It's weird. It's hard to describe. I mean, if you draw it, well, I draw yes, sort of like just like a gummy bear.
like,
A gummy bear is a good way to say what it looks like. It looks like a gummy bear, shadow of a gummy bear, but watery. Like a watery.
maybe like Predator. Remember when
No claws. No.
No. But remember when he was in the jungle when he.
Oh yeah. When he blurs out, yeah, like that. When he's transparent, yeah.
Right, that's what I mean.
Like, transparent, definitely transparent. You see, but you can't see through them because it's all gray matter around them. So
right.
it all looks the same. You just see the shadowy outline, and you see it move though, like transparency moving. It's really weird, but like I said, the feeling of warmth and calmness and love is the most amazing feeling. I've never felt that before. Never felt again. I know I'll feel it again. I know I will down the road.
So did that make you not afraid to die?
No, I'm not scared to die at all.
Interesting.
No, anyone can threaten me. I don't care. I'm just saying down the road. Kill me now.
I mean, like, because me, this is, since my mom, it's been a struggle, and it's been a really bad struggle, not knowing, not being here, and not knowing, and like, I like literally have to take something to go to sleep at night, or else I'll lay there, and then it snowballs into me being afraid of dying and thinking about death and like being so scared, you know what I mean? And like, to have that weight lifted, you know what I mean? Like, to know, I mean, like, and that's one of the reasons, for me, this is, losing somebody, as close as I was, and I'm sure your daughter Felicia. I mean, she thought she was losing you. You know what I mean?
Right.
So she know, you know. So you
There's
know,
two things I know. Two things I know of this. One, when you die, you don't die. I don't know if that makes sense to you or not. Your energy, you will move forward. You'll move where you go. I don't know because I can go all the way through. Lauren just asked on here too. Have you shared? Has that met? No, I haven't met anyone with the same experience as me. Everyone has a different story. What happens to them? Some have, I think, made it through all the way and then saw more than what I saw. I think at the time, like I said again, I was being judged at the time. What are we going to do with this guy? Is he going to go forward? We're going to let him through, or we're going to send him back? He's got more to do.
um,
That's what I think you're here for. I think you're here for a purpose to do something. And once you complete that purpose, then is what I say your number's up. And then they take you, or he brings you up there.
um, let me see. So Pete wants to know, or Todd, should I say, how long did it feel like you were gone?
There's no sense of time, so I don't know how I to feel how long I was gone. I don't know, 2 hours. It felt like a long time up there. It felt like I was up there for a while because just the walking aspect, like when I turned and I walked away, it felt like I was walking forever until I came to the wings. And I was, I almost gave up at one time and say, okay, I'm going to turn and go a different direction. I got to find something. And, um, and again, I think during that time I was walking, I was being judged. I'm telling you, I don't care if people believe it or not, you are going to be judged. You can feel it. You can
Thank God
feel
I save all the bugs out of my pool and stuff because
it. Yeah, you get judged, definitely. You're definitely judged.
um, mini medium, psychic medium and Reiki practitioner. I'm sorry, that's a long name, so I'm just going to call you mini medium if you don't mind. Did she's asking, did you ever feel that you wanted to stay in the spirit realm?
Yes, that's what I said. I didn't want to come back. Um,
And you don't think about anybody, like
you
you
don't
don't.
even think. Well, here's the weird thing, man. Like again, it's so hard to explain, and I think there's a reason why they sort of lock some of this stuff out of your brain while you're there. Like I want to go through hypnosis, but someone's warned me about that too. They said you want to relive that because that can actually do damage. And so I'm not sure yet if I can find someone that I can really trust as a real good hypnotist that could put me through. Because here's what I was getting at. Dr. Lowen came to my room and he says, Steve, I'm the one that found the clog in your heart. You're right. You had the Widowmaker times 3. I said, how can you have it times 3? He goes, well, your right artery was fully clogged. When the paramedics gave you that nitroglycerin in the ambulance, your body had already made 2 blood clots somewhere in your body, in your legs, and they shot up to your heart and they couldn't get through that clog. So that's 1, 2, and the clog is 3 Widowmakers. No one's ever survived the first Widowmaker. You had it times 3. So you're seeing all these people probably peeking in your room right now. And I said, yeah. He goes, those are all the people that worked on you because they're amazed that you are still here. You logically should not be here. You should not be here at all, he
Well,
said.
not yeah, judging from like what you
And
were
he
saying.
goes, here's the freaky part. And I said, what? He goes, having a major heart attack in a Widowmaker times 3, you have 2% heart damage only.
Wow,
I should have like 90%
your
heart.
entire heart damaged.
Yes, 2% heart damage. And he goes to me, Steve, I want to ask you another question. I go, what? He goes, what did you see?
So they asked you. I was going to ask you if they believe in that stuff
Oh,
and if,
yes. So I go to the doctor. I said, how do you know I saw something? He goes, the whole time I was working on you in your heart, you were talking to me. And then I said to him, what did I say to you? And he goes, listen, I got to do my rounds. When you come back to my office from a month from now, we'll reevaluate you. And I'll tell you when you come to the office. Okay. And he went to proceed out the room. And I said, Doc, I got a question for you before you leave. He goes, what? I said, who's the female cardiologist that was working on me? Because I have not met her yet. He goes, now you're freaking me out. I said, why? He goes, how you know there's a female cardiologist there? I said, well, when in a cath lab, I saw a pink mask to my left eye and a blue mask to my right eye. He goes, you're really freaking me out. I said, why? He goes, there's no way you saw that. I said, well, I saw it plain as day. He goes, you couldn't have. I said, how? Why couldn't I see it? He goes, we put cotton over your eyes and then we put these big patches over your eyes. So if you wake up during heart surgery, you don't freak out. You don't see nothing. It's pitch black. So there's no way you saw that. And I said, I saw her. And he goes, there was a female cardiologist there.
Wow.
And I was shocked. I was shocked on that. And then he left. And then a month later, I went back to his office and I said, hey, Dr. Lowen. I said, remember what we talked about? And he's told me I talked to you while you're working on me. He goes, yeah. I said, can you tell me what was said, what I said to you? He goes, why? I said, because I want to write a book. And he goes, I don't want to be no book. And he would not tell me. So to this day, I don't know. So the only other way I can figure out what was said was through hypnosis.
I'm surprised. Like, what if you just like changed his name? Like, you didn't even mention him.
He would not talk. He wouldn't talk about. I guess the doctors would think he's like, when he's believers and whatever, but he would not tell me. If I didn't say anything about the book, he probably would have told me everything.
Dan Webster, somebody I love so near and dear to my heart as well. Since then, are there any of your senses that you feel have been enhanced, more sensitive? Would you say your faith has been strengthened?
Yes. What happened was, and everyone knows this now that comes to the Hoover House and has been around me and stuff like that. What I've gotten out of this now from coming back is 99% of the time I can tell what Pam's going to say to me before she says it, and I'll finish her sentence before she says it, and it freaks her out all the time. I do it to friends, and they'll be talking, and I'll go, yeah, I know you're going to say, and then they're like, how do you know I was going to say that? Because it's already said to me. When we first got back, Pam took me. She wanted me to carry these stones with me. I never carried stones with me before, and everyone knows Pam's very spiritual. So she took me to what was the crystal wand in Gettysburg, and this is before that building burnt down. The car hit it and it crashed into it. It was one of the first places we went to. She took me to. I walked in there, and as I walked in, you walked in the hallway, and then you turned. The cash register was there, and all the stones. I'm not reading what's in the chat, so I'm
sorry. Go ahead, I'm listening. Well, Kim said you should have just You should have just told him you wouldn't say anything.
Yeah, I know. Well, I did. Believe me.
And then Todd said, Kim, he just met Jesus face to face, and you want him to lie?
Yeah, right. That's true. Yeah, right. So
go ahead.
So we go into the crystal wand, and you used to walk in. There was like a curtain there. Then you turned and you went, and there was a cash register and all that. And I got to that curtain, and I heard a lady say hello. And I went up to the register, and I said, that's a pretty good trick you guys got going there, because I heard that lady say hello when you walked by. She goes, you heard her? I said, yeah. She goes, no, we have a spirit in the building. And that's right where everyone hears her, is in that space right there. And I said, well, I just heard her. So that was the first time I heard things. Then I'd be walking around through Gettysburg and just doing the Lookout House and stuff like that at the time. And I was getting voices coming to me constantly. And I was like, I said, Pam, I think I'm freaking out. She goes, why? I said, I'm hearing voices. I don't want people to think I'm like a whack job or something like this, but I'm actually hearing voices. They're, telling me do this, do that. And she goes, well, talk back and listen to them. And give, if they have a message, give it to the person. So I started doing that. I'm not a psychic. I'm like a receiver of messages, I say. So when we table tip here, and I got plenty of witnesses that come here to the Hoover House, I used to sit at the table in the Lookout House, the other place, and the table would tip and move and do everything I wanted to do for me. And they would come to me, and I tell people who's at the table and stuff. When we moved to the Hoover House, that has all left me. If I sit at the table now, the table barely moves. Everyone's like, come on, Steve, you used to do this all the time. what's going on? I said, they don't want me at the table. They want me to sit around the table, and they give me messages to tell you why you're at the table. And so when they're at the table, we had two things actually happened here, which was one is going to be a little disturbing, but I'm going to mention it. Our neighbor next door here came over with his girlfriend, and he says she wanted to talk to a friend of hers who she lost. And I said, okay. So Jim's here. He's doing the table tipping with him and all. And this voice comes to my head and says, tell her we had a secret in school. She'll know what I'm talking about. So I go to the girl, did you have a girl, a friend that was a girl in school and have a secret? And she just, like, I'm behind her sitting in a chair. She turns around, looks at me. She goes, yeah, how did you know that? I said, well, she's here right now. She's talking to me right now. And she goes, no way, no way. I'm like, oh, yeah, she's here. You got to trust me on this. And she's like, okay. And she started asking questions and tables tipping to her answers. And then the girl comes through and says, tell her I'm fine. I'm okay now. And shows me a truck running over her.
Oh, my God.
And I'm like, oh, my God. And she goes, what? I said, was your friend in a car accident? And she goes, yeah. And I said, and the girl in the spirit said to me right out, just come out and say it. So I just say what they say. And she said she was mutilated. And she goes, oh, my God. And she starts bawling. And I said, but she says to tell you she's okay now. She's all back in one piece.
Oh, my God.
And I believe that because remember I told you when my shirt was cut off?
Yeah.
It was back on me. So I think anything happens to you, you go back to one piece again up there.
So when you were looking, if you remember, like when you were looking at yourself, did you have color? Did you have substance?
I looked totally normal. I had shoes on.
There's no mirrors, but I mean, you could see, you said your watch wasn't there. Because
the only thing that was missing was time. I had my watch on, but no matter what, that never came to. That never came back. It was just skin. Where the face is was skin. So there's no sense of time up there. There's no sense of time. That's why when people ask the question on here, how long are you there? I don't know because I couldn't tell on my watch. There was nothing.
Lauren said, what was the name of the type of angel you saw?
They didn't give me their names. They don't give me their names. No one gave me a name up there. No one gave me a name at all.
I wonder why they weren't allowed. The others weren't allowed to talk to you.
You know what? Here's my theory behind that. My theory behind that is, I guess if you knew all the answers, with suicide rate we have in the United States and around the world, and people felt like what I felt, would they really want to be here? And maybe if they keep the fear of not knowing what happens when you pass away, people would not do that.
Right.
They would live their life out. And I think actually, to me, it would be a sin if you were to do that just because you want to get to the other side. Not that you had a mental issue or you're pushed to extremes in life that I have no other choice. You know what I'm saying? Because there is people that have no other choice and they have done that. So I'm not saying anything bad about those people. Believe me.
Right. I know what you're saying. I understand.
What I'm saying now, if I just said, hey, I don't want to be here no more, and just did something to myself, I think that's where judgment comes in and stuff like that. But so anyway, so I got back to that girl, and I said that word to her, and she told me the story that she was on Route 81, and the kids were all drinking, and this was a week prior before she came here. They went off the highway, and they hit the railing, and she ejected through the windshield, and she landed on the southbound side of the highway, and the truck ran her over.
Wow.
And it was validation. Another one was I had a lady here, and she's table tipping, and I all of a sudden the message came through me. It said, mention a John Deere tractor. And they showed me the tractor, and it was a green John Deere tractor, but it didn't have rubber wheels. It had these big metal wheels with spikes on it. These big spikes sticking out of it. And I said, whose grandfather had a John Deere tractor And the girl goes, well, isn't that a common tractor? I said, yeah, but this is like a farmall tractor, not a small garden tractor. It's a big tractor. And she goes, my uncle had one. I said, did it have yellow spiked wheels? And she goes, yeah. And I said, wait a minute. Hold on a minute. You showed me something else. They showed me a duck on the hood of this tractor, which was like the movie Convoy. He had that duck on the front of his Freightliner, and it was almost the exact same duck. And she goes, I said, this tractor had this duck ornament on the front of the tractor. And she goes, oh my God, that's his tractor. You described it to a T. She
Wow.
goes, he put that on there from the movie Convoy. He got one just like it and mounted on his tractor because he liked the movie Convoy. He was big into Burt Reynolds.
Wow.
And I was like, it was just amazing. She just left. I said, well, talk to him. He's here. He wants to talk to you. And yeah, so table tipping, I get a lot of things said to me. In the Hoover house, I have a lady right to my right here. If I go towards the kitchen, every night says goodnight before I go to bed. Because I take the elevator up because my back and my legs, I don't like walking the stairs. I still go into AFib once in a while with my heart. I have a Watchman, they call device in my heart right now. I'm actually a guinea pig for that. I am probably one of maybe 25 people that I know of have one, that we were test subjects for it. And what that is I had those blood clots in my body. So when you go into AFib, your heart pauses. It can form a blood clot in your heart, and then it shoots up to your brain and causes a stroke. When you're born, your heart makes a valve, and your heart forms off that valve, and it develops. When your heart finally develops, it cuts that valve off. So now your heart actually has this little pocket where the heart formed. So you have that the rest of your life. So when you have and go into AFib, you get blood in your heart. Your heart, when you go into AFib, can beat anywhere from 60 beats or 40 beats to 180 beats in seconds. So it feels like you ran a marathon. So my heart's beating like 180, and then 160, then it goes down to 40, then it goes back up to 180, and goes. So it does all this constantly. And I had 4 heart ablations already, where they went in and they burnt my heart around my heart to stop it. I think they finally got it. But that Watchman, what that does, they put that in your heart, and that goes into that valve and plugs it like a plug. So when you have going to AFib, blood can't go in there and form a clot. And then when your heart goes back in regular rhythm, shoot that clot up into your brain and cause a stroke.
Right.
So now I can't, with the blood thinners I'm on and everything else, I can't really have that problem of a stroke right now, unless a blood clot comes from somewhere else in my body. Like,
It's not going to happen.
No, I'm on these blood thinners now for the rest of my life.
Isn't that one of like the Marvel or the Watchmen? Isn't that a Marvel or like one of the superhero like?
Yeah, right. I got that thing like Iron Man in a round thing.
Wes Coleman says, "Hi, Wes, love you. The only thing that bothers me about this is when you said when you were up there that you never remembered anybody from Earth."
I don't think you remember until you go totally through. And then that's why I think you meet the people on the other side. We all know, we get a lot of people are, we have skeptics out there. There's people who don't believe in EVPs. My best tool I've ever used investigating is a recorder. It's not devices. I just use a recorder, and I know when I'm in a room by myself and I ask a question and I get a response and I know there was no one else in there and I hear it crystal clear, then I know. Then being on the other side and seeing it and all that and putting it all together, that Pam just came with water. That you do move on from here. So with your mom gone and just passing away now, believe me, she's in a good place. And I feel eventually they all come back and she'll talk to you. The only problem is what people don't realize, when someone passes away, you just got to listen. You got to listen closely because they are talking to you. You just got to open up. You got to open up and listen to them. and you'll hear them. If you still, they'll give you some kind of sign, either it was their favorite bird or color or something will come up, a coin, maybe. Like Pam gets dimes all the time. She finds these dimes, and these dimes are usually from her mother. So you just got to open up.
Yeah, I'm trying. Um, Mini Medium said, when I did your reading, Steve, I believe we talked about your dad. You talked about your heart and your dad's beautiful message that he's keeping you here.
Yeah, I think he is.
Um,
He's got a reason to keep me here, probably, that I just don't know yet.
Dan said, how did your dog react to you when you got home? Any different?
No,
No.
no,
Because
no.
usually they're, I guess, because they're very sensitive. You know what I mean?
Chucky here is very sensitive. Chucky now, he'll just bark. Like we lost Holly. Everyone knows we lost Holly. Holly Cataldo. She before she passed, she gave him one of her gown dresses, and it's on a mannequin, like a mannequin body. And we had it over here in the bar area. And after she passed, Chucky went up. It was the same night she passed, and he started growling at it, and growling at it, and growling at it. And I think he sensed that she was here. I believe, do animals see things? I'm sure they do. I mean, if we can see things, why can't they? I think they actually see them clearer than we can see them.
Penny Hust. Hi, Penny. When my mom passed, she called my name out because I was with someone she didn't like. I was like, she's right beside me. Yeah. Um, I think with me, like listening to your story, it's kind of therapeutic for me, um, because of the such the traumatic event that took place, for me. Um, and my biggest thing is not knowing what she went through, or if I was here, if I could have saved her, or if you know what I mean? And like her being alone, you know what I mean? And all those things go through your head, so listening to your story, it makes me feel a little bit better knowing that, you know, she didn't have that worry, or she didn't feel that pain, or maybe she didn't, she wasn't going through the worst things that you can possibly think when you because your brain does that, right? When you don't know, you automatically, everything is the worst, right? I mean, like it's when you don't know, when you're trying to figure it out for yourself. um so hearing your story. um
There was no fear. That's the weirdest thing. I had no fear from the ambulance ride all the way to the ER room. The only thing I said to him was, "Don't let me die," and he told me that. And then, even though figured I wasn't going to make it, when they have a priest holding a Bible over you and reading to you, that's not normal.
no.
So I was, that's the part that bothers me the most.
Yeah.
That I asked for that second chance. I was listened to. I was given that second chance, and I'm back. And I'm just trying to do right by being back the best I can.
Absolutely. And
And
you're doing a
and
great job.
and then that's how the PA Wounded Warriors and stuff came on. I figured I was here to help people, and maybe that's why I'm sent back. So we're doing that, and started airbrushing with Key, and Key and we built the tribute cars. 9/11 took a toll on us. That was the hardest car we ever had to build. That will never be sold. If I were to die tomorrow, that car is to go to a 9/11 museum. It's not to be sold. I do want it in a museum somewhere. So eventually that's where it's going to end up, in a 9/11 museum somewhere, because that's what it was built for. Um, so
It's just,
every time, it's really weird when Key and I get in that car, and we built it for the 20th anniversary. We drove it up to Shanksville, PA. We had the fire company bring us in. The first engine that arrived at Flight 93 brought us in, the original engine. that arrived at the plane site, brought us in, stayed with us for a couple hours, and then they had to go back out. But they brought us right to the site, and we sat there with the car for the families to see the car that we built for the families. Um, that car will be going probably back this year. Um, I can pretty much guarantee it'll be at Shanksville.
That's awesome.
September 11th. We'll probably have it there for the family.
Tara,
So
passed, and I was with her when she took her last breath. I am now following my soul's purpose and of sharing messages from the spiritual world. Since following my purpose, I'm now at peace with dying.
you did when you pass, you have no more fear. I don't have that fear. I don't have the fear of.
Can't imagine not having that fear. Like literally, I cannot imagine not having.
And Pam gets so mad at me because I'll stare and say, "Oh, I'm not feeling too today. Maybe it's my day," and I laugh about it, and she gets so pissed because
I don't blame her.
She didn't go through it. I joke about it. I am a joker. Everyone knows I'm a joker. I've been a joker for years.
But knowing that when you go there and you don't, like, I guess you're saying you think that once you go further, then you ain't
come back. You're not coming back. I think when you reach a point, and
but not remembering, you're going to go there and not remember, like Pam, or you're not going to remember. You know what I mean?
I think why you don't remember is because, like I said, you're feeling the warmth, you're feeling everything around you, and your body can't comprehend where you're at. Your energy, it's your soul, can't comprehend because it's never been there before, or it's been there before and you just don't realize it. Like maybe this is just a mirage.
Yeah.
Maybe it is. We don't know. I won't know until I finally go all the way through. I won't know.
Right.
But we get EVPs for a reason, right? People talk to us. We get on recordings. It must be something on the other side for them to come back and talk to you.
Alicia wants you to show your tattoo on your arm.
Oh, that's one I have here. It says, "My love never dies" on the bottom.
Yeah.
And it's 53. That's how many times I was shocked back. They shocked me back 53 times.
That's so crazy.
Actually, Pam, it's sort of funny in a way. I came back after I had the surgery and they sent me home. It was a week later, and I said, "Pam," I said, "I'm not feeling good." And I had just had the surgery in 2015. So it was a week later. She calls the ambulance. I just felt like I was going to pass out again. So who shows up? The same ambulance with the same paramedic that saved my life.
Wow.
He comes in, hooks me up, and he goes, "Oh my God, here we go again." And he goes, "But your heart's beating good." So I don't think so. They rushed me all the way back up to Scranton Hospital. They get me in there and they wheel me in the ER, and this young kid's sitting there and he's doing the registration, right? He goes, "I know you. You're the Miracle Man." He goes, "What are you doing back here?" I said, "Miracle Man?" I said, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "Dude," he goes, "Do you remember anything in the elevator?" I said, "No." I said, "I remember the priest reading my last rites, and that's it." He goes, "They were shocking you like every second in there, trying to keep you alive." And he goes, "You don't remember screaming?" I said, "No," because he said every time they shock you, you would scream like this blood-curdling scream. I don't remember it at all. And
no, you were talking. You'd have been like, "No, I was talking to JC, my homeboy."
He goes, "Do you know how many times they shocked you?" I said, "Yeah, one nurse told me it was 16 times." He goes, "No, 53 times. I have to keep count. I had to keep count from when you came in that day, how many times we shocked your body."
Well, I love them for not giving up on you.
They did not give up on me. And you know what? They never broke a rib either. From the compressions, they never broke a rib, because when they got me out of the ER and wheeled me down the hallway, cath lab, they were the mask over my face, they said, and the compressions and breathing, trying to get oxygen in me. And that's why I was without oxygen for 7 minutes. It took them about that time to get me up, get me prepped, get me in the room, and my body wasn't taking the oxygen. Even though they were trying to pump, they didn't think they got enough in me.
Deb says, my dad died in 92, one of my brothers in 96, my mom in 98, and another brother in 07. I choose to believe they all had the same transition as you did.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. That's why I love when people watch. And Felicia's saying this is why she doesn't believe you were having a heart attack, because you joke around about it so much.
I did back then. I'd say, oh, the only reason why I did that is my brother and I at one time were really close. And he actually had a heart attack on Thanksgiving Day. He was living in Grant, Alabama at the time, and actually it was Tennessee. I'm sorry, it was he was in Sevierville, Tennessee, and I was called down there because he had a heart attack, and I flew down instantly to see him and take care of it. So I always asked him, I said, Joe, so what's it feel like to have a heart attack? He goes, oh, when you sit there and you say, oh, he goes, that's just, my heart hurts. He goes, that's heartburn. He goes, believe me, when you have a heart attack, you'll know you're having a heart attack. Mm-hmm. I said, what do you mean by that? He goes, trust me, you're going to know you're having a heart attack when you have one. It's not the typical little pain under the ribs, or it's painful. And sure enough, he was correct. So I used to joke about it when I got heartburn. I go, oh, yeah, think about, busting his chops. He goes, oh, don't laugh about it, because one day it could happen. And it did. So, yeah, it was just.
Jason said, I'm glad they didn't give up. You are awesome, even though you catch me all the flipping the bird tricks.
It's Jason. I know that. Yeah. No, he was just here this past weekend.
I'm glad they didn't either. I mean, because it could go either way. I mean, I remember the EMTs coming out to me and saying, they tried, but my mom had been down too long, and that there was nothing that they could do, and I'm literally looking at them like, try harder. Do something.
I don't know.
You know what I mean? Like, she was still warm. She was still hot to touch. Like, it was like, I was like, what do you mean? I like, go back in there. And she's, I mean, listen, I've been in the medical field my whole life. When you said about how you get like that paralyzed until it passes, the way that I found her, her legs were kind of like that, like they were like straight and tight. You know what I mean? Like,
right. Well, all your muscles tighten up. Yes. Yeah. I can vouch for that because I felt it myself.
So that was just her legs. I mean, it literally looked like she laid down in the tub and fell asleep is what it looked like, and like, I thought she was sleeping because she was so warm still. Like, like when I touched her to try to wake her up, she was still warm. So I was like, so when they came out and they said that there was nothing that they could do, I mean, looked at my brother, two of my brothers are police officers. One had shown up. He's a sheriff, works for sheriff's department around the corner. And he came and he was in there, and I grabbed him and I said, did they really work on her? Did they take her out of the tub? Did they really try? And he said, yes, they tried, but it just not being there and not knowing, you know what I mean? Like what happened? Like, they're like, she didn't have any trauma. There was nothing was out of place. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like she was like scrambling to like, she didn't fall and hit her head. She didn't, there was no like trauma that way. And there wasn't nothing. It was almost like as if she had just laid down, or is what they're thinking, but.
I feel, like I said again, I feel when you've done what you needed to be done down here, we just don't realize it. It's time to go. It's sad for us here because we don't want them to go.
Right.
And we always want them. We can't keep everyone here forever. I can't stay here forever. To me, I say this to Pam all the time. She gets very pissed off at me for saying it, but I know I'm on borrowed time. I know I am.
Stop it.
The best way to say it is I watched a video on YouTube. Well, not YouTube, it was on Facebook, and it's Eddie Murphy. And I want people to think about this because it really gives life in a right perspective right now. He goes up to the camera and he says, think about this. If you're lucky, you get 90 or 70 summers, 70 winters, 70 springs, and 70 falls, right? What's your age now? Think about it. If you're lucky and you make 70. So don't waste life on arguing and fighting with people. That's why I don't do it no more. You know what, Taryn? I don't care what anyone says about me, what they do about me. I don't care because I wasn't brought back here to fight and argue with people. I was
Right.
brought back here to help people. All right.
Oh, and that's
So,
what you're doing. And just so you know, my mom was 70.
yeah,
She died 10 days before her 71st birthday.
I don't want to I didn't want to put that out there as a bummer to people because now they're all going, oh, wait a minute. I'm 55. I got only so many summers
No,
left.
I mean people
But
live, but you're right. I mean,
logically, you know
yeah,
what? In a way of saying that, hopefully the people that are wasting time right now won't waste time. Though, if they have problems with people or they have a drug addiction or you know something going wrong in their life, they might want to try changing it now. Because you don't have much time. You never have that time. You don't know if you have tomorrow. You don't know if you're going to wake up tomorrow morning. You
yeah.
don't know. You can't promise yourself that. You know,
It's
a
so
friend of
true.
mine tonight,
But see, and that's the
driving
thing.
down the road, got in a car accident.
Yep.
You,
And
you know,
that's
you
the thing.
always,
You don't know. Like literally, people say that all the time. Like you don't have tomorrow, but like literally, in my case, it was an hour. I talked to my mom an hour before I came home and found her, and she was totally. She said I slept great. Blah blah blah. She was totally fine. There was nothing. There was nothing. There was nothing saying, except for I don't know what took place in that hour where she was by herself. You know what I mean?
life can be taken away in a second.
Yeah.
Um, the people I use this as a metaphor too is 9/11. Think about it. Those people went to work that day, didn't know it was their last day. So you don't know, and that's why with that day and the attack on our country, we built that car, and that car is so meaningful. When Key painted that car, what people don't know is we had to have a priest go up to him and talk him down because he wanted to quit working on that car so bad because he was looking at pictures and he wanted real people from that day on that car. And he had to look at so many different pictures and of destruction and it just eats you alive.
Yeah.
And the priest would say, Key, you have to get this car. You have to keep going on it. And she talked to him and talked to him 3 times and he got it done. And we got it done. And then it's just like I said, it's so weird when you ride in that car. You feel like those people are with you in that car when you ride in that car.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Dan says, excuse me. Dan Webster says, "Your will to live is very admirable, my friend. It's my opinion that you had more to do with your survival than you think."
I came back for a reason. I don't know why. I'm still trying to figure that out, but I think I'm doing what needs to be done. I think I have to get the message out. This is the year I am going to lecture at the bash about it for the first time.
Oh, good.
So what I told you will be said to everyone else. I am going to be doing that because I was given that, and a lot of pastors in town of Waynesboro here have told me that, hey, listen, you need to get your
Have you talked to priests and told you
couple here and there. Yeah, well, there some are actually the priests themselves. Some are the congregation, and said, "Can you come to our church? Can you say this? Can you do that?" And it's just gotta be the right time. It's so hard.
Andrew Darling is actually commenting because he was at 9/11, helping, and he said that haunted me for years, seeing family photos in the rubble because they never made it home. Yeah.
But you think whoever gave you the message, if it was God or Jesus or whoever, It was given to me for a reason, they said,
Yeah.
for you to give out to other people and not to hold it in. So, uh, Chris, I can never say his last name, Cesare.
Yeah, to Cesare.
It's the first time I spoke at it was at Fort Mifflin, and I did this and I told people about it. And I did it again at Pennhurst with Bob and Gina's when they had their first Pennhurst there. I spoke about it there too. Um, they told me, Chris told me, you were given this for a reason. Uh, if you write a book, well, I can't write a book. I can't even write normally on Facebook. To be honest, people are going to laugh about that because that's why if anyone says I put a text out there, I can tell you right away if I actually wrote it or not because I don't spell correctly half the time. So,
but I was going to say this though, like, say the quote again, like you remember it, like it's
oh yeah, it's locked in my head, and I just can't get rid of it, and I don't want to get rid of it. So it was said to me was, I come to you because you believe in me. You're a part of me, my kingdom. Let them know I'm with each and every one of you. My love never dies. Now go. So what I'm getting is God is telling you, look around. I'm around you. I might not answer you. I might not answer your prayers. I may not come and talk to you. If you're thinking you're going to say, oh, God, save me, make this day better, he's not going to come in your ear and say, okay, sweetheart, I'll be there in 10 minutes. It's not how it is. You got to believe. And that's what I tell everyone. Believe in God, and he'll take care of you. Trust me. He'll take care of you. And I'll never forget when I said to the doctor, an ER doctor there, Dr. Greenspan, I said, don't let me die. God was listening. And it said, I'm not going to let you die. And that's why I'm here.
And you fought.
I fought big time. I had to go through rehabilitation, all that other stuff.
But even while they were shocking you and stuff like that, like I know that you're not giving yourself any credit. I mean, you have to have the will as well.
Well, the funny thing is Dr. Lowen, when he came in, he goes, when I broke through that clot in your heart before he put the stent in, he goes, when I broke through that, he goes, you have a very strong heart. Your heart took off like a freight train. It was like boom, like nothing happened to it.
Well, only having 2% damage as well.
Yeah, well, that's what they're amazed by. They still just.
They're also amazed.
People can check it out. It was Guy Singer in Scranton. I don't know if anyone wants to look up the report on it. I'm sure they could. I have no problem with it. It's not, to me, it's not personal. I actually like to get the report because I want, if I can get someone to write the book for me. Pam actually wrote all the notes, and she has it in her laptop saved of what I told her from the day after, so I wouldn't forget half of what happened to me. I'm still, like I said, I still want to go through hypnosis. I think I want to know what I saw and what maybe I saw that I'm not allowed to say. Is that wrong to do? It's like, what can happen to me if I go against, maybe God's will is not to know that yet.
Well, but I think you would know inside what you can and can't say.
Or it won't be shown to me. Is how I look at it.
Yeah. Like I think you'll know what you can and can't say. I mean, the story is incredible, and I do realize that it was a traumatic experience for everybody. I mean, Felicia, my heart, she made me cry like 3 times.
I owe her my life. If she wasn't there, my daughter, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have been here. I'll tell you that right now. And it's the total truth. It's her and now her husband, because they're married now, thank God. Because I love Ray to death. I mean, I couldn't ask for a better son-in-law and grandchildren and everything else they've given me now. Amazing that, one thing I want to tell people, and I put this in my speech when I talk, is if you're having a heart attack, I always tell everyone, if you're 50 years old, start carrying in your car somewhere or in a bag or your pocketbook or something, just a little bottle of baby aspirin. Because the first thing they tell you, Chewable 81, they tell you when you're starting to have a heart attack, it'll save your life because you take two at first and then maybe a third one. But I wouldn't take the third one until someone's on the phone with 911 said I administered two. I know you're not supposed to give medical advice out there, but I feel my opinion. I actually, as a warning, would talk to your cardiologist and ask him if this is a good idea. But I would say carry a little thing of baby aspirin because it will thin your blood out and keep you alive. And that's what saved me when I took those two aspirin. They were full aspirins. They took a little longer to dissolve, but that I think is what saved me in that house that day. Something told me to take those aspirin as I walked out, and then that's a little strange. So something was watching over me at the time.
Absolutely.
I feel, but baby aspirin. And the second thing is, if someone's having a heart attack, the worst thing you can do, you can ask any paramedic, is put them in a car and get them to the hospital yourself. 99% they will die in a car because there's no way you can save them. You are driving, you can't pull over, start giving CPR, it's too late. The best thing is to have them either sit up or lie down, whatever they feel comfortable, and don't move them until the paramedics get there. That's the best thing to do because there's nothing you can do to save them in your car.
Right.
So do not drive them unless you are in an extreme place where time is of the essence and you have no choice.
Felicia said her husband's Ray. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Ray. Ray said he loves you, Dad.
Yeah. Ray took my car that day. And the funny thing is, my daughter rode in the ambulance with me, and I think that was the most traumatic thing probably for her too, because here I'm dying in the ambulance right in front of her, which I don't think she expected. And my now son-in-law was driving my Subaru, and actually she'll probably laugh about this. We got to the hospital, and the police were yelling at him for running the lights with the ambulance because he's not allowed to run the lights, even though the ambulance is running the lights. But he just didn't want to lose where we were going. We're in a blizzard. We're in a blizzard.
Yeah.
And he couldn't take his car. He took my car because my Subaru was all-wheel drive. So he took the Subaru at the time and got there. But
yeah, she said my husband is 55 and I'm always making sure he is okay. I make him go to the doctors because I'm the same thing. My fiance is 60 and I'm always on him.
Yeah, when he goes to the doctor, just go to your normal doctor, normal practitioner, and just ask him, say, hey, doc, I'm at this age right now. Do you think it's a bright or smart idea that I carry baby aspirin with me? He may even tell you it wouldn't hurt to take one a day. It all depends. I'm not telling you to do it. I'm just telling you to ask your doctor and see, because the preventative way of, if I didn't take it, I wouldn't be here. Be honest with you. I don't
listen. I'm glad. I am so very thankful that you did make it, and you did. And Felicia called 911. You took the aspirin, because I gotta tell you, you're one of my most favorite people on this planet. You are definitely.
Thank you.
You can tell. I mean, anybody that knows you and knows the type of man that you are. I mean,
I don't hate anyone, Taryn. I don't.
No, but you also though you will give your shirt off your back for anybody. You'll
I
help
would,
and people see that, and I just want to say that I'm thankful for your friendship. I'm thankful that you're here, and I'm very, very thankful that you took the time to share your story with everybody, because I really think this was a different kind of show for me, and I really, really appreciate it.
There's more time for love and kindness than there is for hate. Remember that.
Absolutely. I want to thank you so much. I know it's difficult, but I definitely, everybody is saying how awesome you are, and this was a really good show. Patty said, wow, thank you so much, Steve, for sharing this experience so vividly and for still being here. And to Taryn for holding the space for Steve to share. Well done. Sending you love to both of you. Thank you very much for sharing. Yes. You still with me, or are you frozen?
No, I'm here.
Oh, okay.
I was just reading.
All right, It's about that time, and I just want to say, everybody, please go check out Facebook page Gettysburg Battlefield Bash. That's coming up in a couple of weeks. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be awesome. It's in Gettysburg, and um, it is a great event that helps out charities, the Heroes for Hire, Dana's Pink Wishes, and the PA Wounded Warriors. All charities are on site for you to talk to, for you to, and this and that. So just come out. There's so much stuff going on. They have wrestling matches. They have a wrecking ball. They have the
Mechanical Bull, escape trailer,
mechanical bull. They have a
axe
skate
throwing,
room, axe throwing. I mean, it is. Yes,
celebrity bartending, karaoke, you name it, we have everything.
yes,
And
Felicia, I am.
anyone, I'll be talking about this at the bash again. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to come up to me. You can find me at the bash. I'll be running around crazy, but not too much running around because it's a little rough on my body running, back and forth through this big complex. So that's why I'll be on a golf cart most of the time running back and forth on that. But feel free to come up to me, ask me any question you want. That's what I'm there for. If I can help you on anything and maybe make you feel better about things in life.
Felicia said she would love to be a part of your story.
Yeah.
She's gonna be at the bash. Yay! Yes, definitely. We have to meet you. I have to meet you. I said we, like I'm talking like I.
I think both of my daughters are going to be at the bash. They came to the first bash, the first one we had, was at the Pike Restaurant at the time, and they haven't been back, but they'll be back. Well, I know she's going to be there. My youngest will be there hopefully too.
Jason says, I'm never comfortable going anywhere but Hoover House is like a safe place away from it. Really is. I mean, you literally listen. The last time we were at the Hoover House, we had some awesome stuff happen. We were just talking about this. Me and the Peaches were on talking about the Hoover.
You get that EVP up there, yeah.
That EVP. Megan got touched on her arm. That was when that night I decided to sleep downstairs with Dana.
I got a question. I got a question for you when you're done, though. I got to ask you.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, we're gonna cut it short. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. This was something. This was a show that meant so much to me, and Steve being vulnerable and opening up and putting that out there is your strength continues. And it's just amazing, and I love you for that. And thank Pam for letting me have you for an hour and a half to talk about this. And
yeah, just enjoy life because you don't know if you have tomorrow. Just remember that. Enjoy life to the fullest every day and smile. I tell everyone all the time, smile. When you wake up in the morning, smile. And my question for you was, what was it like to take flight off an air mattress?
Oh.
I had to ask you that question because I saw that video and I laughed so hard when Megan jumped on that and you took flight.
I was in the air. You can't, like, the angle, you can see it, but you can't see it. But it was like an amusement park ride. I was like, whoa, and I didn't see it coming. So I flew. I was up. I mean, thank God we didn't do any damage. I don't think Megan expected that to happen. I don't think any of us expected that to happen.
I laughed so hard. It reminds me, you see those people in the lake where they bounce and they shoot them way up in the air.
Dana says she was literally airborne.
Yeah, I know. I laughed so hard when I saw that video, but I see all the peaches on here. I love these guys.
Yes.
They are my peaches. So, yeah, just like I said, live every day to the fullest. Smile every day. Be thankful you woke up. And, just enjoy life. Enjoy life. Don't let nothing get to you.
Yeah. All right. We're going to go. Thank you, guys. Felicia, I cannot wait to meet you. She said, have a great night. God bless. And, me and the Peaches will be at the bash. We'll be at the bash, and all amazing people will be there. I hope everybody goes and checks it out and come up and say hi to me. If you see me, because I'm all over the place, but yeah, let's have fun.
Oh, it's gonna be a blast. We're gonna have fun. Believe me, everyone's gonna have a lot of fun.
Everybody have a good night, and I will see y'all next week. Love everybody. Much love.
And then one other last thing. Thank a vet if you ever see a vet.
Oh,
Buy
yeah,
them coffee, give them water, whatever. Always thank them. You wouldn't be free without them.
that's so true.
So,
Amen. My
all right,
fiance,
everyone have a good night.
my fiance is a veteran. I love it. I love my veteran. All right, I'll see you guys next week on the brew.
Take care.